right, in this video, we're going to cover Boolean operators, and they are sort of a fundamental way of making decisions that are really going to play into control flow and controlling which way we go in our code as part of the control flow module. So Booleans are fundamental to the language and are true for all languages, and so we're going to cover how Booleans work and how to use them. All right, so let's get started. Boolean comparisons. So there's basically three things I want to cover in the module. The first one is, what does a Boolean mean? The second is, why do we need Booleans at all? And the third is, what are the comparison operators that you're going to work with when you deal with Booleans? So first of all, what is a Boolean? A Boolean is basically a value that can be true or false. It's that simple. It cannot have a number, it can't have a string, it can't be anything. It's just really asking a question, and the answer to the question is going to be either true or false. So it can only take on those two values. So the way we use Booleans and why we need them, imagine, for example, you're going down a road and you have to make a decision. You've come to a fork in the road, and let's say you're trying to go to B or to C. Depending on which place you want to get to, you're going to have to make a decision at that point, and you're going to have to ask the question, should I go left or should I go right? And the answer to those questions are going to be true or false in answering it. And this is pretty much critical to software. If we didn't have the ability to make decisions and to transfer control or to change our control in the code, we wouldn't have computers today. So let's take this following scenario. So if we were to ask the question, to get from A to C, we should go left at the fork in the road. So we've made a statement. We're saying to get from A to C, we would go left. And the question is this statement true or false? So this would be something I would open up to the students to see what they think. Hopefully, it's pretty obvious that it is false and that you do not want to go left. You actually want to go right to get from A to C. Let's consider another question. It appears that B and C are equal distances from A. Again, is this true or false? And I would open it up to the students. And in this case, it is true. It does look like from A to B and A to C, they look like equal distances in the diagram. So the right answer is true. So what I want to do is run through the basic Boolean operators. So we're going to put them all out here on the slide. This might be something you might want to print out and make it as a poster or something and put it on the wall in the classroom, or as a PDF and make it available sort of as a cheat sheet. I do have one of these in the curriculum, so please take a look there if you want to find it and use it. But right now I'm just going to briefly introduce them, and then we'll get into each one in detail. So the first one, which is pretty much the fundamental one, is, are two items equal? And to do that, we actually use this double equal sign here. We'll talk about that a little more. Then the other question is just the opposite, are they not equal? And in which case we do the exclamation point equal as our operator. And then we have is greater than, so we're really checking, the left side, is it greater than the right side of items that would be put around these operators. And again, we'll go through these in a little more detail. So there's less than, which is just the opposite of greater than. And then we have a combination that we can do right with one operator, which is greater than or equal to. And then we can say less than or equal to. And we can then do two more. We can say and. Now, this is an operator on two Booleans. So we're saying if this is true and this is true, then it's true. And then the other one is or. Well, if this is true or this is true, it's true. And then finally, we have the not, which is the exclamation point, and that is just noting whatever Boolean value we have. So for example, if we wanted to say, is something not true, we would use the not and the exclamation point. So let's dive into these individually in a little more detail. So let's first look at equality. So this is not gets the value of. This is not an assignment. This is basically asking a question. And we want to be careful about this because it's very easy to just type one equal and have it act as an assignment, or type two equals when we really want an assignment. So this one can be a little confusing, but remember that we have two equal signs side by side, and that is the ability for us to ask the question if something is equal or not. So here, for example, if we say 3 equals 4, we know that's not true, right? They're not the same number, and so the value is false. But we have 5 equals 5. We do know that should be true, and it's true. And then we have the question true equals true. So even though we have numbers here on the left and the right, we can actually have a Boolean value on the left and the right as well. So we can say, is true equal to true? And of course, we would say, well, yeah, true is equal to true, and that makes sense. So what about this question? What does this evaluate to? Is false equal to false? And I would open it up for a little bit of a discussion on that. The answer is true. False is equal to false, and so the right answer for that is true. So when we look at these two statements, what we're trying to figure out is, are they the same or not? So here we have var age equals 16, and then here we have age equals 16. And the question is, are they the same? So again, open it up for discussion. The answer is that they are not the same, right? A single equal sign means gets the value of. A double equal sign is a Boolean expression which sort of asks a question. So it's saying, does the variable age equal 16? And in this case, it would be true that it does. But this is actually declaring a variable. Here's the var, here's the name, and then it's saying it's going to get the value of 16. So two completely different things. So given this slide where we have var age equals 16, and then we ask the question, what is the answer to the question? So if it was executing this statement first, then this statement next, is this true or false? The answer is true, right? Because age got the value of 16. Now we're checking what's in age and saying, are you equal to 16? Well, you are, because it was just assigned to that value, so the answer is true. So let's look at not equal. So in not equal, we're going to assume that our variable test has been set to 5 right here. So the first one is test is not equal to 4. So the question is this true or false? And again, I would leave it to the students to pipe up some answers. Hopefully they'll say that it's true. And the reason is that test is not equal to 4, so therefore, and test is 5, so this should be true. What about 5? Is 5 not equal to test? Well, again, test holds the value of 5. Is 5 not equal to 5? No, that's not true, so that should be false. And then finally, we can say, is true not equal to true? And again, that's a little bit of a puzzler. It's kind of a little weird, but it's used quite a bit because we don't necessarily know the values of the left and right-hand side yet. And so it is the case that this would be false, that true is not equal to true is false. So again, if we look at our answers, we have true here, this is true, and these other two are false. Okay, how about greater than? So in greater than, again, we're going to start with this statement at the beginning. And again, I would just open it up. Is test greater than 4? Is test greater than 5? And is 6 greater than test? And so the right answers would be test is false for greater than 4. Test greater than 5. Well, 5 is not greater than 5. So that's key. So that is also false. But 6 is greater than test, right? 6 is greater than 5, and so therefore that's true. So now let's look at the greater than or equal to symbol. So in this scenario, we're saying, is something greater than or is something equal to? So we're really saying, is it greater than? Okay, if it is, then it's going to be true. Or is it equal to? It's also going to be true. So we're checking both conditions. So again, if our test equals 5 and we say test greater than equal to 4, what do we think? Again, opening it up, is 5 greater than or equal to 4? So hopefully, as they think through that, the answer is yes, 5 is greater than 4. It's not equal to 4, but it is greater than, and this is an or when we think about this. Secondly, test greater than or equal to 5. Well, test is a 5, so we should get true here as well, because 5 is equal to 5. Now, what about 6? Is 6 greater than or equal to test? Well, yes, it is. 6 is greater than or equal to test. So when we look at the answers here, we do see true, true, and true. Every single one of these turns out to be true. So let's look at less than. Less than is 3 less than 4? Yes, that's true. Is 5 less than 5? Nope, it's not. It's not less than 5. They're equal. So it's not, and we don't have less than or equal to here. We just have less than. Is 6 less than 5? No, it's not. And then finally, less than or equal to. So less than or equal to. Here, 3 is less than or equal to 4. That's true. 5 less than or equal to 5. That's true because it's equal. Is 6 less than or equal to 5? It's not. So that's false. So finally, we can look at a couple of Boolean operators. One of them is and is done with 2 ampersands. And all it's really saying is it's saying if the left-hand side and the right-hand side of what you're comparing, first of all, they have to be Boolean values. They can't be numbers or strings or anything else. They have to be Boolean. And if we say that true on the left and true on the right, then our result is true. So an and is saying we have to have a true on both sides for it to be true. True and false is going to be false because we didn't get true on both sides. False and true, again, we did not get true on both sides, so that's false. And then the question here, 3 and 4, is this even correct? And it's not. It's not legal because remember, when we're dealing with and, the left and the right side have to be Booleans. And then let's look at or. So or is also logically should be kind of the way you would think about, A or B. I'm going to go to school or I'm going to go home, one or the other. And so in this case, I have true ored with true. That's okay, right? We're going to do this or this. If either one of them is true, true is the result. True and false, true or false. So in this case, we have one true on one side, even though we have a false on the other. Because we had one true, this also is true. Third, here we have false ored with false. Now in this case, we don't have any trues on either side, so that means that it has to be false. The result will be false because we said if this or that, if neither of them happen, then it's not going to happen. It's not true. And then again, 3 or 4, again, is not legal because those are not Booleans. So Boolean comparisons is basically that. We basically have looked through what a Boolean means. It means making a decision based on true or false. And why do we need them? Because in our control flow through our software, if we can't make a decision, we can only just go straight on through and we're never going to change direction based on any type of input or value. And that's just not going to work. That's not what a computer does. It needs to be able to make decisions, and it uses Booleans to do that. And finally, we went through what the comparison operators were. So those are the comparison operators. I encourage you to look in the database, or I encourage you to look into the LMS for various posters that I've put in there for the various Boolean operators and sort of the Boolean logic tables for and, or, and not. And that will help you remind the students about whether they want to use them as cheat sheets or if you're in the classroom and you can put them up on the wall. It's a great reminder where they can look up to them and remind themselves how these work.